It's not a walkthrough, playthrough, review, anything like that. It's just me playing the game badly so you can see what it looks like. Hello, haven't done this in a while. Okay, what is your rare computer or console worth? Actually, I shouldn't be doing that. I actually do mean rare on this occasion. This may be of more interest to people who are on my website looking at my eBay price guide. That's a bit out of date these days, but it still gives a rough guide. But some of my YouTube viewers may be interested as well. What am I getting at here? Let me start at the start. On my website, I have a price guide that shows a rough idea of what you could expect to pay for consoles and computers on eBay, retro consoles and computers. I don't cover everything, but the ones that I have on there, I tracked the value that items were selling at, and I don't mean the buy it now prices that you see. Always ignore the buy it now value of anything. It's not representative of what a piece of hardware is worth. It is what a seller thinks they can possibly get if someone is too impatient to wait and go through an auction. Auction values will always be lower, and the closing price is the going rate. That's the real value. And I've watched the auctions of lots of pieces of hardware and averaged out or recorded the highest and lowest values that I saw them go for over a couple of years. And that's what is on my website. Now, on my website, I said, with my contact details, if it's not listed on my website, I don't know how much it costs. I'm no wiser than you. So, you know, if you want to know, do what I did. Track the value. And that is reasonable advice, except in one particular circumstance, and that is when an item never shows up. And this is where it gets interesting, because every now and then I will get someone email me and say, I've got this piece of hardware. I can't find it anywhere on eBay. No one's selling it. So it's got to be rare, hasn't it? So it's got to be valuable and worth a lot, hasn't it? Can you tell me what it's worth? This happens once or twice a month, maybe, sometimes a bit more. And it's a really difficult one to answer because, well, first of all, I don't know what it's worth. But there are there are three different circumstances that I can figure out, if you like, that would dictate whether this item, rare item, is worth a lot or not, because they're not always. Rarity doesn't always equate to a high value. Why would that be? I'll give you an example. Pong machines in the mid to late 70s, there was a massive glut of Pong machines. In the UK, there were the popular brands, Grandstand and Binatone. You know, you'd heard of them, you knew someone who'd got one, you maybe had one yourself. There were hundreds and thousands and millions of them. They saturated the market. You'd heard of them, and perhaps if you were looking for a Pong machine now, you'd find one of those. I've got several. They're not worth a massive amount. But then there was also a glut of Pong machines made by other companies that now you won't have heard of. I won't have heard of. They show up every once in a very blue moon, and I get people saying, I've got this. I can't find any information about it. What's it worth? And here is the thing. Yeah, it's rare. But it's rare for a reason that maybe doesn't actually help the value in the way you might think. It's rare because no one bought them, and the reason no one bought them was because no one wanted them, because the market was already saturated. It was like trying to sell coal down a coal mine. You know, sell snow to Eskimos, that kind of thing. No one remembers them, and here's the thing. No one cares. Your item might be really rare, but no one gives a damn, and they're not going to pay a lot of money for it. unless, and this is one of the circumstances, unless someone, well, you need two people bidding. If you're going to sell the thing on eBay and you want a lot of money, the only way it's going to happen is if there are two people who had one of those when they were a kid, that exact model, that exact manufacturer, and they've got a real nostalgia thing going on, and they get into a bidding war. And that's the only way something like that will sell for decent money. Rarity doesn't always equate to a high value. I mean, there are other things like that. And the thing that actually made me think I'm going to do this video, a chap came to me asking me the value of a system. It was a computer. It had originally been, the design was originally a dumb terminal for hooking up to a mainframe computer, but this was at the time in the early 8-bit home computer era, when dumb terminals and mainframes were basically old hat. They were out of fashion. Small, self-contained, reasonably useful computers were now viable in the home, in the office, blah blah. So these dumb terminals had some chips added to them and were basically made into CPM machines, which are they're like the precursor to DOS powered PCs. They're Z80 powered. They were popular, they were functional, they did the trick. They were generally an office machine. You can run CPM on some of the early 8-bit home computers. But there were lots and lots and lots of them. That some were more successful than others. I've not paid them a lot of notice, so I couldn't tell you any of the major names. But largely, a CPM machine, an obscure manufacturer, no one remembers them, there's no information about them, it might be rare as hen's teeth, but it's virtually worthless to anyone who doesn't have serious nostalgia. And you've got to have two people with that nostalgia bidding against each other, otherwise it's not going to be worth an awful lot at all. It is deceptive because, I mean, you can look on the internet and find there's very little information. No one's selling them on eBay. Uber rare. Yes, it very likely is, but no one cares. And that, I think, leads to a lot of disappointment for people who have systems like that sitting in their loft. I think maybe the way to tell if a thing is rare and worth a lot is actually, first of all, are there any on eBay? If they're not, okay, it's rare. But is it worth anything? Can you find any information about it on the interwebs? You know, when you Google it, there are pages and pages of people talking about it. If you can't find anything except maybe some obscure reference on Wikipedia, no one's going to care, and it ain't worth a lot. If you can't find any on eBay, but there's loads of websites talking about it and praising it and saying what a fascinating and interesting machine it is, Jupiter Ace, then you're looking at a pretty valuable machine. And that is the key, I think. Jupiter Ace, they made 8,000 of them. That's pretty rare, I would say. And there's a lot of interest in them. Put that on eBay and it will go for several hundred, £300-400 maybe, I don't know, maybe prices fluctuate, but that I think is the key. Are they rare, and does anyone give a damn? And the way to find out that is Google it. If there's no info, no one cares. Yeah. I think that answers that. Rarity doesn't always equate to value. Sometimes it does. You can tell just by seeing, you know, how much interest is there. And I still can't tell you how much your rare system is worth. I mean, hell, I don't even know what that Jupiter Ace is worth anymore. But you can, I think, just by using that kind of method, tell if it will be worth anything at all. You know, will it sell for more than 10 or 20 quid? Yeah, I think that answers that question. I will embed this on my webpage because it is a commonly asked question. And if my YouTube audience are remotely interested as well, so much the better. I would just like to add at the end of this, 12,000 subscribers this weekend. Absolutely awesome. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. even though I'm barely putting up content these days, people keep subscribing and I'm chuffed to bits. So thank you. And thank you for watching.
Ben what now? Never bloody heard of him. Yeah, alright. I suppose you should subscribe if you want to.